month for the continuing series of webinars and content for the publishing and media industry. My name is Brett Kierstead, and I am the MC for today, and we're very lucky and happy to have with us a guest presenter, which I'll introduce here in a minute. Our topic for today is 4 easy ways to double your digital revenue. And we all know how important looking for new ideas when it comes to money and revenue and this movement into the digital space. And again, it's a very popular topic, and we're fortunate to have a great speaker for you today. The format for today, again, Eric, I'll introduce in a minute, is going to be presenting, will really present for about a half an hour worth of some content that I think you'll find very entertaining and informative. And then afterwards, we will go over questions that are submitted along the way. So please make sure that you use the question panel within GoToMeeting to submit your questions. And again, we will get to them at the end in maybe the last 10 or 15 minutes or so. We do record today's event, so for those others in your organization that you want to have a chance to hear it, we'll get a copy of the link as well. So again, without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to introduce you to Eric Shanfelt. So Eric is going to take you through today's section, and really I had a chance to meet and watch Eric present down at the Niche CEO conference in Chicago, and was really excited to hear what he had to say, thought he had great ideas, and are pleased to give him the opportunity to share with the audience that we have each month some creative ideas. So without further ado, here's Eric.
Hey guys, thanks Brett, appreciate it very much. And yeah, my name is Eric Shanfelt. I'm with eMedia Strategist, and today I just want to talk with you about what I did present earlier at the Niche CEO conference, which is 4 easy ways that you can double your digital revenue. It's a big promise, I know, but if you actually think about what we're going to be talking about here and apply it to your business, it's really not that unfeasible that you can achieve those kinds of results. So we'll kind of get into there. The whole idea, though, is that these are going to be some simple adjustments that you can make to your business model without burning out your list, right? Of course, we could just spam the heck out of the list, but that's not the point. So we're going to talk about how we can actually accomplish this with a couple of simple adjustments here. I'm really encouraging you to stick around to the end, because at the end I'm going to show you how to also get a free ebook I just put out, real-world examples, some website changes that are going to build a bigger audience and drive more revenue for publishers. We took a look at various publisher websites, things are doing well, things that could improve upon, and really real-world case studies that I think you would find very, very valuable, specifically about your website. So make sure to stick around to the end, and I'll tell you how to get that free ebook. All right, so before I want to begin here, I really want to kind of ask you guys, and maybe you can put it in the comments field there, who are you? What market are you in? Are you in consumer publishing, enthusiast, B2B? Are you a regional or association or some other kind of market there? And then think about, what is your revenue model? Are you making money primarily off of products you sell to advertisers, things like web advertising, email advertising, list generation, lead gen, things like that? Or are you making it primarily off of things you sell to your readers, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's a subscription model, whether it's event registration, things like that? So go ahead and just type some of those into the comment field. Would love to see what you're doing there, and I'll try to address it along the way. The things we're going to talk about here today actually are fundamentals that really will work no matter what market you're in or what revenue model you use, or if you use a hybrid of those things. We're going to really talk about some of the fundamentals that work no matter what. So just a little quick about who I am, just so I could explain why I'm even talking to you here. So I've been over 20 years in digital media, starting way back in the early 90s. Hate to date myself here. Was actually building video that we were streaming off of 2x CD-ROMs, little postage stamp video that we were doing Fortune 500 multimedia companies, and then that evolved into web and online. So my whole career has been working with dozens of media companies, either as an employee or as a consultant, in a variety of markets, whether it's B2B publishing. I was the SVP of digital for Penton Media for several years. Whether it's enthusiast publishing, I was SVP of digital for Interweave with Knitting Daily and some of those products there. And most recently working in the book publishing market with HarperCollins, where I was SVP of digital there. We launched FaithGateway, Study Gateway, several other products that were on there. But throughout the whole career, the focus has been really practical audience building and revenue generating strategies for publishers. That's really what I want to focus on. There's a ton of theory, ton of stuff like that, but really I want to focus on what are some practical things that you can apply right here to make a difference. That's the goal. So I built several multi-million-dollar digital businesses over the career. Started out with Windows IT Pro, have helped others. FaithGateway, Knitting Daily are some of the key ones that we built along the way. I've also had several miserable failures along the way and been parts of some things that just didn't really work as well. And so I've had the opportunity to see what really works. And I've also seen what doesn't work, or what are things that are a waste of time or a distraction. So my goal here today is to share that with you and try to share some of the things that I've learned working with these dozens of companies in all these different markets over the past 20 years here. So bonus tip, let's just kick this off. This isn't even one of the four tactics to double your revenue, but email drives revenue. Really want to drive that home. Really want to drive that home. I don't care whether it's more page views on your site, whether it's webinar registrations, whether it's e-commerce sales or subscription sales or event registration or whatever your business model may happen to be. Email is the really key piece that drives revenue. And I've said this before, I'll take one email over 10 Facebook followers, over 100 Twitter followers, over 1,000 page views. I really firmly believe that. And again, I think when you look at the numbers here, you'll see that the conversion and the revenue driving ability of these various mediums pales in comparison with an email. So with that in mind, that kind of gets us to our second tip here. And the second tip here is that everything has to be mobile friendly. So no matter what you're doing these days, whether it's your website, your email, your landing pages, everything should be mobile friendly. You should be looking at your website and your emails on your mobile device before you send them out. Make sure that it really is working well. I won't go into the details of this, but if you're not mobile friendly with your website, with your emails especially, you're probably getting some penalties from Google and the search engines, who's now penalizing sites that aren't mobile friendly. Two, you're probably also missing out on your readers who are just saying, look, I'm just not going to bother. I'd say latest studies I've seen are well over 50% of emails, including the B2B spaces, are now being read on mobile devices. So email drives revenue. Everything's got to be mobile friendly. And we'll get into a little bit more of how this pans into the four revenue ideas here in a minute. So we're going to go through the digital revenue pipeline. This is really the blueprint of how to generate revenue online. So this is attract, engage, retain, convert, right? Attract is how do we get people to our website? I'm really specifically saying the website because to me the two really key pieces of your digital strategy are one, your website, and two, your email. And we'll talk about this a little bit later on, but really the number one purpose of your website is to get emails, and then the emails drive revenue. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But again, the step number one is attract. How do I get the right audience to me? And then step two is engage. Now, by engage, what I'm meaning here is I'm talking about how do I get them to give me their email address. That's what I mean by engage, because it's one thing someone could come to my website and they're off. But if I capture that email address, I can now market to them and monetize that person again and again and again and again. So I want to attract them to my website. I want to get them engaged by somehow capturing their email address. Step three is retain. So how am I going to then retain and cultivate that relationship over time in email as the primary medium with that? And then step four is convert. Now I want to convert that relationship into revenue, either revenue derived directly from the readers or revenue from advertisers who want to reach those readers. So attract, engage, retain, convert. I'll give you the hint here on this. This is not new. This is publishing 101 from the days of print and everything. This is just publishing 101. Whether it's circulation marketing, circulation, editorial, and sales. Attract, engage, retain, convert. The same things are applying online. So with that in mind, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to walk through a tactic for each one of these steps in the revenue pipeline. Now there's tons of tactics and as a strategy you want to attack through all these things, but I just want to give you 4 that I think could really move the needle for your business. All right, so strategy number 1, let's talk about something that we could do to attract, something that's kind of unique. All right, here's an idea. How can you make money building your email list, right? There's tons of things out there with this, but Facebook and Google, we talk about pay-per-click advertising. A lot of publishers don't really utilize pay-per-click advertising to build their own database. Well, it costs money to do so. Maybe if you're in paid circulation, you can see a direct return. But I think, and I've actually done it, seen where you can do pay-per-click advertising that actually winds up generating revenue for you to add emails to your list. And this can work for any market and really for any revenue model. So it's all about conversion funnels, right? So we talk this thing through. You're going to do a pay-per-click ad, let's say on Facebook, targeting a specific market segment. You're going to drive them to a landing page. On that landing page, you're not going to ask for a sale. What you're going to do is you're going to give away a lead magnet, or some people call them a freemium, or whatever it may be. But it's a piece of premium content, oftentimes a PDF, sometimes a webinar, whatever it may happen to be that's attracted to your audience. I'm going to make an advertisement for it. I'm going to drive them to a landing page. It's a high converting landing page. We'll talk about landing pages here in a second. And I'm going to really try to get them to opt in to download this piece of amazing content that I know that they're going to want. Then on the thank you page is when I do an upsell. The thank you page is when I either sell them the subscription or sell them a piece of content in either digital or physical format. Or I actually do, hey, if you're interested in this, you may also be interested in these 2 white papers from XYZ company, right? You could do a lead gen program that generates revenue. I'm also opting into a drip email, now the landing page, that follows up with, hey, here's the free content that you asked for. By the way, don't put in the landing page and then on the thank you page give them the link to the download. No, because I'll just put in eee@eee.com, and you've now got a bogus email. On the landing page, always send them the link to the bonus or to the free content via email. Always do that. That way you're actually getting a real email address. So landing page, we upsell them on a thank you, we do a drip campaign, we deliver their freemium, and then we also upsell them in the drip campaign so we can make money on that. All right, let me give you a real world example of this. So at FaithGateway was in the Christian market, right? Here's an example of a campaign that FaithGateway did, right? They spent $2,700 on Facebook advertising. There's the ad right there on the left. And when someone clicked on that ad, you notice what it's saying. It's not trying to sell the book, The Daniel Plan, right? Instead, what they're trying to sell is what they call a jumpstart guide. Let me give you a little hint on this here. You can create these freemiums, these free downloads, these lead magnets. For book publishers, it's typically like an excerpt. But a good friend of mine who likes to use this example, Steve Koenig, fantastic guy, he said that, look, if you're giving somebody a sample of something, that's like giving somebody a bite of a cupcake, right? Would you like a bite of my cupcake? Well, I like cupcake, but no, not really. Oh, or would you like this mini cupcake, right? The mini cupcake is the same amount of cupcake, it's just packaged differently. It's packaged as a complete entity. In this case, you'll see this Jumpstart Guide was an excerpt. They just took a few articles, a chapter, a thing here or there, packaged it together as a complete product, the Jumpstart Guide. It doesn't exist as a physical product. It's a digital product. And when they put it in there, now, hey, what I'm promoting out to the audience is, hey, get healthy in 40 days with this free ebook, Jumpstart Guide. Download now. That's the call to action. If you're a magazine publisher, maybe instead of taking a piece out of a book, you're aggregating a set of articles, right? So maybe if you're in the consumer electronics space, you're doing a in-depth guide to 4K TV, boom, which is actually several articles you pulled together to create an ebook. These things are not that hard to create. Anyway, they spent $2,700, did this Facebook ad, sent people to the landing page of the free download, and what happened? Added nearly 14,000 emails to our database with just that money. That means it was 20 cents per email acquisition, give or take. Here was the wonderful, that's a wonderful ratio right there. I mean, to get an email name for 20 cents, you know what your lifetime value is. That's actually a pretty good acquisition cost. But here is the wonderful thing. You follow on then on the thank you page with the upsell and the drip campaign that also sold product. They wound up selling $6,000 worth of product. So they actually wind up making 24 cents for every name that they acquired. So let's go over this again. They spent $2,700, added 14,000 people to their list, and made $6,000 in revenue. Right? My next question is, awesome. How can you spend $27,000 and get 10 times the results? So this is just one little example, but there's some of a creative way that you can do to really say, hey, how do we do pay-per-click advertising, drive people to something for free, build our database, and then actually make money? So the same thing could happen with a white paper or some sort of a lead gen business where you're giving away something for free, someone downloads it, something that someone really wants, and then on the upsell, you're upselling them into a lead gen program, something else that they might be interested in registering for. So there's your strategy number one. Strategy number two, we'll talk about something on the engage side, right? How do we get the email address? All right, so this may be a little bit controversial or maybe it'll shake some people's worlds here on this, but I'm going to kind of overstate the case to make a point. Your number one job of your website is list building. It's not revenue generation. It's not content delivery. Your website's number one job is building your list. Think about it. You've somehow gotten somebody to your website, whether it's through search engine optimization, whether it's through a pay-per-click, whether it's through a social media thing, whether it's through a referral, whatever it may happen to be. Somehow somebody got to your website. It took a lot of work to get that person to your website. Now, while you're there, you could monetize them or try to monetize them one time, right? If you're trying to sell them something directly, you could try to convert them. E-commerce conversion rates, typically in 2 to 3%. That means 2 to 3% of your visitors are actually going to buy something, okay? Not a great ratio. You could try to monetize them with advertising. Okay, they may see a few ad impressions. Maybe they'll fill out a lead gen form. Who knows? But if your number one job is to actually get their email address, now all of a sudden you can monetize that relationship again and again and again and again and again. It's not just a boomerang visit and off. You've now got them into your orbit. This is really critical. And so the real key thing here is to step back for a second. Take a look at your website. Take a look at your website as if you've never seen it before. Is it really clear that when I come in, I'm supposed to register, right? There's something awesome there. And it's more than just, hey, sign up for our email newsletter so that we can spam the heck out of you. No, there's got to be a real reason to sign up, something, an incentive, something good. So every page needs to be designed to build out your list. Look at your home page, look at your article pages, look at everything from that perspective of what's the one action I want someone to take when they come to my website. I want them to know where they are, but then the next thing I want to do is say, oh, wow, you know what? I'll consume the information, but then I want to sign up. I need to register for this. So there's tons of tactics that are involved in this. We just don't have time to go in here today. Whether it's overlay forms, we talked about lead magnets a little bit with the funnels, and we talked about landing pages. I will give you a couple hints on landing pages. Landing pages where you're trying to get someone to sign up for something. Don't distract. A landing page should have really only 3 things on it. Should have your logo, should have your offer, and should have a way for someone to sign up. Get rid of navigation, get rid of all the ads, all the distractions. When they're on the landing page to sign up for something, there should be no other path of exit other than filling out that form and moving on. Okay, that's an extra bonus tip for you there. Free memberships are also a great way, strong list building tactics. Again, email drives revenue when it comes to media. I don't care your market, I don't care your business model. Okay, a couple other things here. Let's talk about America's Test Kitchen. So America's Test Kitchen, great brand, great product. These guys have some amazing metrics that I won't go into here, but most publishers would kill to have these kinds of metrics. Now, this is an extreme example. I'm using them as an extreme example to illustrate a point. I'm not saying everybody has to do these things, but this is an extreme example to illustrate a point. Go to the America's Test Kitchen website, look at what they do. Everything is geared to capture the email address. Everything is geared. The home page, the index pages, the article pages, everything is geared. They have overlay offers. They have a free membership layer. They have tons of lead magnets. They're landing pages. I mean, you can see here in this example, right? Even on this page here, they've blurred out the ingredients on this page. So you're kind of getting a peek behind the wall going, oh man, I really want that chicken stew. And by the way, this is an awesome recipe. I've actually got the cookbook. It's an awesome recipe. But I really want this stew. America's Test Kitchen, fast and free, right there. Oh, I can sign up. Oh, okay, free access to the recipe. Okay, boom, I'm in. They have a promotion on the right-hand side. Again, they're looking at every single page as an opportunity to capture that email address. Okay, so this was the engage part, is again, step back, look at your website, pretend you've never seen it before. When you get there, is it really clear to capture that email address, and is that really the primary job of every single page of your website? You do that, it's going to really build your email database, and that's going to drive all your other revenue streams at the end of the day. Okay, strategy number 3. Let's talk about the retain side. So now we've got someone to our site, we've attracted them, we've engaged them, we've now got their email address. Now let's talk about, well, how do we engage, how do we retain that person? How do we communicate with that person on an ongoing basis in a way that's meaningful? All right, here's one thing that you might want to consider. Increase your email frequency. Look, I was adamant for a lot of years, especially early in my career. Never go more than weekly on an email newsletter. If you go more than weekly, you're going to burn out your list. You're going to over-inundate people. People are going to get spammed. They're not going to like it. They're going to unsubscribe. I was adamant against this. And I will give full credit to Don Nicholas over at McQuota Group, who really challenged my thinking on that. And yeah, I got to tell you, I resisted at first, but like, okay, let's try it. Let's do the metrics. So we wound up launching it daily, and frankly, to my surprise, the opt-out rates were lower than my weeklies. The open rates were higher. Look, typical open rates on a weekly newsletter. I've seen this in both B2B and in consumer. Typical open rates, you're talking 15%. If you're hitting 20%, you're rocking it. I've seen lower, even below 10% in certain situations. So let's talk that 10 to 20% unique open rate. When I've seen the dailies that are done right, the open rates actually go up to 35, 40, even 50% open rates. That's unique open rates. That's astounding. The click-through rates also corresponded with this. If you do this right, the opposite can happen. You'll burn out your list. You actually grow your list, and you get bigger open rates and bigger click-through rates. Test it, try it, see if it works for you. The key is really the content and the relationship. In other words, how can you become the de facto daily read for your market? Okay, again, you've seen these digest-style emails. They're 18 pages long. I open it up, and your eyes just glaze over, going, "Oh my gosh, it's going to take me 2 hours to go through all this and digest the information. I just don't have time. I'm going to push it off." But if you're becoming the de facto daily read, hey, maybe it's just one quick thing every single day. You know what? I can digest that. Look, I feel like I've read this. It's quick. I'm up to date. I know what's going on. Thank you. And I spend 5 minutes. I feel like I'm up to date. I move on. Readers are usually happier. because they're up-to-date quick reads. Advertisers are happier because rather than 8 advertisers all competing for space in a big digest email that only has a 15% open rate, maybe I'm the only advertiser, I'm the exclusive advertiser with a big ad position in that one email that now has a 30 to 40 to 50% open rate. Which would you rather be as an advertiser? I'd much rather be more exclusivity with more opens and more clicks than that. And the publisher is happier. I look at the end of the day, you're getting more revenue, greater engagement, greater open rates. It's easier to grow your circulation. You're not constantly fighting it. You're getting more traffic back to your website. It's a win-win-win. So something just to consider. Don't be stuck in the weekly, bi-weekly. We can't go beyond that. Now, you got to do it right. You got to make something that ultimately, at the end of the day, your readers really want to read and really engage in. But this is the one thing I'll throw out for the retaining part of the pipeline. All right, so let's talk about the athletic business here. This was a company I worked with up in Madison, Wisconsin. Great people, awesome business. Love these folks. They actually converted their weekly email to a daily, and they'll admit, Gretchen Brown, the CEO up there, was awesome. They were nervous. It was, and I get it, totally a little nervous about converting the weekly to a daily. They went ahead and did it, and I just talked with her a couple of weeks ago. I said, hey, I'd like to do this in this webinar. What do you think here? And she said, hey, look, this is true. Our circulation did not decline. Our open and click rates did go up. We're seeing more traffic back to our website as a result of going to daily, and we've got more revenue from our email with higher click-through rates on the ads. It was a win-win-win. So there's one example for you that I'll just throw out of a conversion from a weekly to a daily that I think went very successfully. Now, they actually went ahead and did a digest style, even on the daily, but it was great because they now really are the de facto read in their market. Every morning, people open it up to see what's going on. And it's a beautiful business model on that. All right, last strategy, we'll hit the last part of the pipeline, the convert part. This is where we're going to talk about the money and what do we do there. So I'm going to focus on the advertising side for this, but there's a ton of strategies we could do when you're doing reader side as well, but we'll talk about the advertising tip here. All right, so here's the fourth tactic. One, better manage your inventory and pricing. So I'm going to give you this is actually a couple of tips rolled into one here. Here's kind of a general rule of thumb. If you're selling out your inventory or you're selling a particular position well in advance, you're underpriced or you're discounting too much, one of the two. So, if you've got an exclusive program that people are buying months in advance and it's sold out, you're underpriced. Look, online, we have limited inventory. In print, we can always add an extra advertiser, right? We'll add an extra page of editorial. We can always add an extra. There is no limited inventory unless you're trying to fight for the back cover or inside front cover. But when you're online, we only have limited inventory in the web and limited inventory in email. Use that limited inventory to your advantage. Don't discount your most in-demand positions. The advertiser will go, oh, I'm going to spend it. Yeah, I would love to discount this, but honestly, I've got a waiting list 10 people deep. I'd love for you to have it. If you don't want it, I totally understand. I got 10 more people who are already asking me for it. It's a beautiful position to be in when you're a seller. The converse of this is also true. Like, if you're having trouble selling something, get rid of it. I have seen so many media kits for different publishing companies online where you go in there and there's 80 options, right? And your own sales team doesn't even know what everything is. How in the world is your advertiser going to know what to buy? So, my advice here, if something isn't selling, get rid of it. Remove the clutter from your site and from your emails. Remove the clutter from your media kit. It improves performance of your other positions that are working well. It also focuses your sales team. Your sales team's only got 10, 15 minutes on the phone with people. Don't waste that time on things that don't matter. I would rather focus my sales team on selling a few higher ticket items than a ton of lower ticket items. Again, gross generalizations, there are opportunities for lower priced items as well. But in general, if you're selling out something well in advance, you're underpriced and you shouldn't be discounting it. If you're having trouble selling something, get rid of it. Get rid of the clutter. Focus on the things that actually do perform well. And again, exclusivity and performance is what actually sells at the end of the day. Okay, those are the 4 tips. I'm going to talk about electronic design examples here with the sales thing again. Electronic design, great magazine in the electronic engineering space. They do very little discounting on their premium positions. Now, I'm sure there is some discounting for large stuff, but in general, very little discounting on this. They have high-ticket items, right? They're a welcome or slash overlay ad. That's $10,000 per week that they charge for that. This page wrap, like you're seeing with a little drone there from Analog Devices, that's $10,000 per week. Single sponsored email newsletters are $6,000 per week. That's $26,000 per week that you can make just by selling those 3 positions. And again, these are high impact, big positions, in-demand positions. So don't discount them. Don't don't underprice them if you're selling them out way in advance. I typically like to see like an 80% sellout. If I'm exceeding 80% sellout, I'm probably underpriced. All right, so that's just something to think about. There's some things that you can do right here, right now. So I promised you that free bonus. I'll make sure I give it to you, and I'm really excited to tell you how to get it here. And this is not a bait and switch, trust me on this. But I'm also excited to announce this in combination with the launch of today. You are the first people to hear about this, of our Digital Revenue Secrets Masterclass. So my colleague Mark Smith and I are putting on a 6-week intensive online course that you can go through, and we're going to talk through all these different stages. I won't bore you with it all here, but it really can grow your digital media business by two to 3 times. So it's digitalrevenuesecrets.com. If you go out there and on the homepage, you just register, put in your email address, and it'll send you this 10 proven website revenue tactics, regardless of whether or not you sign up for the Digital Revenue Secrets class. You don't have to sign up. You just got to put your email in. You'll get the free ebook. It'll be emailed directly to you almost instantly. So there's no bait and switch. If you do want to go ahead and sign up for the Digital Revenue Secrets Masterclass, there's an early bird pricing on there right now. You can check it out, see what it is. But the key thing here is really, again, we want you to know, how does your website, your email, and your social media actually work together to drive the business? We talked about some of the tactics here about driving audience to your site. Well, there's a ton of fantastic tactics that we're going to go over with and really show you how to drive the right audience to your site and really build your circulation for free, how to engage those visitors, get them to volunteer their email, how to retain and develop that digital audience, how to maximize audience from the readers or develop it, maybe you haven't developed it yet, and how to maximize revenue from your advertisers. If you knew how to do these things, I can guarantee you there's going to be some things you do know. There's going to be a ton of things that you haven't thought about yet or that are a different perspective on that. That's what we're going over in this class. So check it out. Again, there's no risk. There's no obligation. The registration is open. We're going to close it soon. And no matter what, you're going to get this free bonus. So really appreciate you guys checking in for this thing. And now I think we want to get to some of the questions. So I'm going to pop open this thing here.
Yeah. Hey, Eric, I thank you. I can carry. I've been paying attention to the questions that have come along the way.
Great.
So just to make your life easy for you, I'll ask you a few of these questions. So
you got it.
One of the questions came, and they're in no particular order, just the way they came in, and they're seemingly close to the topic. So one of them was to talk a little bit about how you feel about graphical ads in e-newsletters versus text ads.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have an opinion about either one of them? Do you have any experience on performance, good or bad? So graphical ads,
yeah,
versus text ads.
So I don't necessarily have a preference one way or the other. Both can work. I think one of the key things that a text ad sometimes has above graphical ads is one, it flows in with the content a little better. So sometimes you definitely want to set it apart a little bit, but it flows into the content a little bit better. But both can be very effective. The real key isn't whether it's a graphical ad or a textual ad. The real key is, what is the creative? One of the biggest things that I see that we could do as publishers to help educate our advertisers is look at their creatives. I know it's hard to talk to advertisers about the creatives, but how many times have we seen creatives where it's, hey, XYZ company, we create these widgets, and that's the ad. There is no incentive. There's no call to action. There's no sense of urgency. It's merely an awareness. Well, thank you, XYZ company. I now know you make ABC widgets. I appreciate the information. You have impacted my brand awareness, but I'm not going to click on your ad. Same thing, I've seen, even today, I see ads where on the ad, there's tons of text on there that am I really going to read it? No. What you want to do is you have a very limited space, whether it's text or whether it's graphical. You have a very limited amount of space. Tell me what it is that I should be interested in and what I should do. Give me a call to action. Give me an incentive and give me a call to action. We got our advertisers to do those things. It wouldn't matter if it's website or whether it's email advertising. It wouldn't matter if it's a text-based ad or whether it's a graphical-based ad. You're going to see click-through rates go up significantly just with a little bit of education for the advertiser. So not really necessarily directly answering the question, but maybe answering probably a more important one.
I love it. Thank you. Another question is there's kind of two components to it. It has a little bit to do with personalization. Personalization, whether it be on sites, within ads, or within newsletters. The value from your perspective of creating an experience, let's say on a website, if it's a recognized user and changing either the ads or the content, or maybe breaking up a newsletter into multiple parts. One of the questions was basically like, are you seeing the ability to charge a higher price when this ad or content or newsletter placement goes out to, a special group as opposed to, kind of a generic group? I don't know if you
you absolutely can. Like I remember way back in Windows NT Magazine, we had our main Windows NT Magazine newsletter, which was a couple 100,000 people, but then we had Windows Security Update that went out, right? It was specific about security topics, and it was a lesser frequency, smaller circulation, but we could charge a higher CPM on that. I'm not opposed to segmenting and having different lists that have different topics that you could more target on. I do think that though there is a bit of a danger when you go too far down the segmenting. So it depends upon your market, depends upon the breadth and depth of your market. But there are some times where people are getting too segmented in their market, and the realities are, we've seen this with the old print media kits, right? Where, hey, I only want to advertise in your security issue because I'm a security vendor. Well, wait a minute. Who are we advertising to? We've got to get back to it in sales of saying, look, I'm not selling content. I'm selling you a demographic. So just because this issue may be about enterprise messaging doesn't mean that the same IT administrator reading this isn't also just as interested in security. So there is a place for segmentation. Again, the answer is going to waffle a little bit. It really depends upon your particular market situation, the breadth and depth of the market. You can answer that. And part of it is also just going, look, advertisers, God bless them, they want to, contextual advertising is really big. I'm not opposed to contextual advertising, but at the end of the day, I'm not advertising to a piece of content. I'm advertising to a demographic. So you can do segmentation and personalization, but you can also take it too far and actually damage your revenue potentials. How's that for a waffling answer?
That's perfectly obtuse. I loved it. No, I'm just kidding. It was awesome. No, that was good. That actually covered a couple of other questions that people had. Another question that came up a little bit was on that example of the recipe, where you're at the chicken stew,
yeah,
and you had the little popover, and there was the opportunity where it was fuzzied out, and you had to input information. A couple of questions. Number one. Was that just like if they clicked out of it, it was optional? Are you hard forcing them into that? Do you have any experience or comments on whether that's a forced, kind of a true gated, or whether you just do it softly? And then, how often do you re-ask for it? How do you know? So a little bit about that. And then secondarily, when people do put in their email address, let's say you're just asking for email and there's like a confirmation page of registering for something, where's that going? Is that just a confirmation page? Is it something that's more of a I don't know, like an upsell situation? Do you just get them back to where they were? You know, maybe there was a few questions that just talk a little bit about that circumstance
Sure.
there a little bit more.
Sure. So in the America's Test Kitchen example, again, they're what I would consider to be the extreme example of this. They are very aggressive about getting emails, and their approach may be too aggressive for your particular market or your particular business model or business tastes. But nonetheless, they are incredibly successful at it. That is a hard wall. You don't get access to the content unless you actually register for it. We did something very similar at Interweave in Knitting Daily, right? You didn't get access to the premium content unless you actually registered for it. And again, the people are smart. They know when it's fake. And look, I even do this. Anytime I get a white paper, I'm going to put in a fake email address first, because I'm going to put in a fake email address first to see, will they actually just open it up for me, and then I can get what I want and move on. And and inevitably I run across somebody who says, oh, "Hey, congratulations! We just sent you the link to your download to the email address you provided." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, all right, I'll give you my email address because it's worth it. That content is worth it." You've really got to go back to the thing and say, "Wait, look, I'm not asking for a whole lot. I'm asking for your email address. It's not like I'm asking for your firstborn child. I'm asking for an email address. This content is worth it." Now, if you don't think this content is worth it, if you don't think this is worth it, I can guarantee your reader's not going to think it's worth it. So, you don't have to do too much, and they don't have to be huge. I mean, one of the great people who do this is Copyblogger. If you ever check out the Copyblogger site, I love that site. Go a little bit further in and go to their ebooks. You'll see it's just really well done. But ATK, it is a hard wall. Now they have a free membership level and a paid membership level. You don't have to do that. You could have just a bunch of free downloads or different downloads that people can do. Then what happens once somebody actually signs up? What happens once somebody signs up? Typically, when someone signs up, number one, if they're waiting to try to get access to something, the first thing I want to do is I want to give them access to that thing. So in the case of like let's use that Daniel Plan example, right? Someone came there to download, they hit the landing page, they said, yep, they put in their email address. Actually, you'll even see this on my own Digital Revenue Secrets site, right? You go out there, digitalrevenuesecrets.com, you put in your email address. The very first thing that I'm going to do is I want to fulfill my promise to you. You wanted to get that free bonus. Boom, I'm going to dispatch an email that instantly goes to the email address you gave me that's going to give you the link to what I promised you, that free ebook. On the upsell page, on the thank you page, I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to reaffirm, if you go through the process, you'll see it. I reaffirm, here's your freemium is on its way, and then I'm going to upsell you into something, right? In the case of ATK, America's Test Kitchen there, you put your email address in and you register, and they take you back to that page you were trying to access. You want to fulfill the promise, right? I told you if you give me your email address, I would give you access to this. You gave me your email address. Now, I may go to a next step. I may say, hey, thanks. You're one step away from getting access. Go check your email and click confirm, because I want to make sure you didn't give me fake email. But then once you click confirm, I'll take you back in and boom, give you access to the content. So again, what happens when someone enters the email? One, fulfill your promise. Two, upsell. So I'll try to then upsell you on something, either a paid membership or something else that you could do, or maybe another lead gen program that you could do. And I'll then also begin to dispatch what I call, if you're new to my database, I'll dispatch a welcome campaign. Before I even put you into my normal newsletter flow, I'm going to walk you through 2, 3, 4 emails that actually welcome you and introduce you into the brand, that have personality, that have an individual behind it, that talk you through what you're going to get, the value proposition, and try to upsell you maybe on a couple of things. Some people call it a welcome sequence. Some people call it an indoctrination sequence. I guess it just depends on how draconian you want to be. But that's kind of in essence what happens once someone signs up. Hope that helps.
Yeah, that was great. We have less than a minute, but there's like 3 questions around, and I don't know if you would terribly mind going back to the slide if that's too difficult for you. The one of the electronic design, where you had yeah, that one. There's several questions asking a little bit more about the economics of this. How did you arrive at that? Was it CPM based? Was it this? I don't know if you either want to share that or have any more, like, what kind, was it a CPM? Was it a fixed cost? Did you get leads from it? I mean, maybe, I don't know how much you feel like sharing or whether you could. Is there any more story to that financially about how that's structured? Or
Well, it's been 7 years since I worked for Penton Media and was directly involved with electronic design. I did help them launch the welcome overlay ad at that time. So they've innovated beyond there. Like, this page wrap is new. I didn't do that specifically. What I can tell you is how we came about with the welcome ad when we were pricing that, right? When the welcome ad came up, and it took over the whole screen. I mean, Penton was one of the early adopters of the welcome ad. We actually doing welcome ads back in Windows NT Magazine back in 1985. Way back then. But what the welcome ad did was it was exclusive, but it had typically 5 to 10 times, maybe sometimes even more, the click-through rate of a traditional leaderboard ad, right? So when we're getting 10 times the quote-unquote performance of a leaderboard ad, and there's only one of them, we use the exclusivity and we use the response rate. Now, some people would argue, yeah, people are clicking on it, but they're clicking on it accidentally. They're not clicking the skip. That may be true, but nonetheless, the click-through rate is still 10 times. So like, look, even discount half of it, still 5 times what a normal click-through rate would be. Plus, you've got massive branding. Plus, it's exclusive. So that's why we could charge some really big bucks for that. And what really also came down was supply and demand. Hey, you know what? Great, this was a $100 CPM. What? Well, yeah, but I got 10 advertisers lined up to get it because it works so well. So I get it if it's too expensive for you. I totally understand if you want to pass on this, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to buy it because I got 10 other customers I know who are already in line to get it, and we're sold out 3 months in advance. Whoa. Again, it's awesome. Limited inventory puts you back in the position of strength when you're doing negotiations with advertisers. So I don't know if that helps or not, but
yeah, no, thank you. I think that was really good. And again, obviously people always want to know the economics of things, and I think you definitely gave some good ideas. So, I mean, we're on our time. Again, there's a bunch of other questions, Eric. I can email them to you, you know what I mean? And if you want to reply directly to some of these folks, a lot of people want to share, maybe some more examples with you, which, obviously need a little time to think about. But again, everybody, thank you so much, Eric, on behalf of our audience that shows up every month. I think there was awesome content. Thanks to the audience. Those are really good questions. Again, visit Eric's site, and if you want to pop up your information again, go out and see Eric's information. You get the free ebook for those who follow through his lead email capture process. I'm sure he'll be happy to get it to you. And again,
Eric, firsthand.
Yes, that's right. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys all again next month. And again, look forward to connecting with you guys, and as well as if you want to talk to Eric, certainly feel free to reach out to him as well. We will send out a link to the download as well for the slides, as well as for anybody who wants a recording as well. So once again, thanks, Eric, and we'll see you guys all again next month. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Bye.